Ça fait pas chamber. Ça parle pas moins trop. Ça fait me comprendre qu'il nous peut faire un lot bagaille ensemble. Nous vivons là. Peke qui te walé, si vous la sécurité. Peke qui te walé, si vous la sécurité. Uzala ukete, uzala ukete. Chérie, Choukala, c'était un jour qui bénit. Aïe, 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 des jours comme ça, c'est au cas, toujours plus belle. Les belles, moi, garde, moi, chanter l'homme. Malgré tout ça, c'est moi qui te fais aimer. Après ça, doudou, moi constater, c'est où qu'il a dit. Merci mon Dieu. Uzala ukete, uzala ukete, uzala ukete, uzala ukete. Même si des jours nous pas bien, même si des fois moi-même t'as fait aller, nous cherchons pour ça pas encore. Mais non, tout papa, on fait ça. Béki de Walé, si vous la sécurité. Béki de Walé, si vous la sécurité.
At this time, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you just joining us, this is Bridge Radio Africa. We're coming to you live from Detroit, Michigan. The song in the background is by the group Kasaf from an island called Martinique. The lead vocalist, Jacques de Ferro. Oh man. And that's right, make no mistake, throw no joke on this one. We are back at it again. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I know some heard the name, some heard people talk about them. You've gotten the opportunity tonight to finally put the name to the face. So this is yours truly, the giant, the brother who doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than the lion. That now you know me. Want to quickly go to Information Highway, where Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts is standing back to fill us in. Mrs. Roberts, hello and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mr. Garley. How are you?
Good. I'm doing very well.
Wonderful. Well, we want to welcome our guests, our patrons, our listeners, and our viewers. We say welcome to another wonderful edition of Bridge Radio Africa, Bridge TV, with your host, Ashford, the Giant Garley. We are coming to you live from 3 major platforms this evening: Facebook Live, aka Bridge TV, Bridge Radio Africa YouTube channel, and also bridgeradioafrica.com. Thank you for choosing Bridge TV as your choice of information and entertainment. We ask that you please share the podcast with your friends and family. Again, thank you, and please follow us at bridgeradioafrica.com for more information and entertainment. Please make yourselves comfortable, as we have a lot of information for you tonight. As you have come to see, this is where the news brokers are. Again, welcome. Grab your meal of choice or your drink of choice. We have few rules. They're called house rules. We ask that you be respectful of each other. Please be respectful of our host, and most importantly, please be respectful of our guests. What you write is just as important as what you say. Again, we say thank you. Make yourselves comfortable as I turn it back to you, Mr. Garley.
Okay, thank you. Again, some quick housekeeping activity tonight. Now, tomorrow we're going to play host to D12. D12 is a Liberian musician based here in the United States. And, you know, as time goes by, we're going to be giving you some new, some new segments, new content, you know. And we're going to begin tomorrow with D. Curtis. And going forward, we are going to promote our Liberian musicians. The musicians are doing quite an awesome job, and I think they need some type of recognition. So D12 will be in the building tomorrow at 9 p.m. 8 p.m. is Quincy T from Liberia. So we'll start the show up with Quincy T with a little bit of comedy, and then D12 will come and do a little bit of performance for us tomorrow night here at British Radio Africa as we climax the week, but not not so fast. We have a special edition of the program on Friday. You know, the Friday's edition has been sponsored by the Shepherds Association, those who ship things to Liberia. I think they have a bone to pick with the government, and they are going to be in our studio Friday night. So you might just want to plan to listen as well. Well, tonight we have a full plate. We have a guest out of Liberia, Mr. AMOS TWEH. He wants to be Secretary General of the Unity Party, and he's in the hot seat tonight. Just before we introduce our guest, folks, if anyone out there celebrating his or her birthday tonight, we'd like to say congratulations. And let us show hope that you live to see many, many more birthdays to come. Want to go back to information highway? Perhaps Mrs. Roberts can pick up a few comments. And welcome our viewers as always. Then we can get straight into it. Mrs. Roberts.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Garley. Yes, so we have trending here, of course. One of our top viewers, Mr. Garley, I have seen is Mr. Alston Carpet. He is taking the front row this evening. And we have James D. Finley. He says, good evening, the Giant. We also have Elder G.C. James C. Bly Jr. watching. We have Mr. Josiah Joker. Good evening, Ashford. Marta Joki, she says, hello to all. Thanks, Mr. Garley, for the job well done. We have Cheerful DV. Hello, Mr. Ashford and staff. Thank you. We have Balu Ashe Kowu Howard. Mrs. Balu Ashe Kowu Howard, yes. And she says, let me enjoy the music before the show. Happy Wednesday, the Giant and team. We are sending love to you and your team from the All Liberian Diaspora Women Organization for all your hard work. Thank you. Elder James C. Bly Jr. also writes, monitoring from Hartford, Connecticut. Akbar Mamalu is watching from Washington, D.C., the state where decisions are made. We have Bassaman J. Haven't seen you for a minute. Too blessed to be stressed. You're welcome. James Blamo, I'm getting along as well. Ambassador G. Thomas Salawoyan, he says, great show. We have Josiah Joker, he says, replying to Elder James, hey, Elder, I live in Danbury, Connecticut. Maybe we should connect. Curtis D. Doley, he says, I'm a regular listener and viewer. Good job, Ashford and team. George P. Lobo is in the building. And we have Baba Salif, who says, good evening, Great Radio Africa family. George Lobo, I am here sharing. Thank you. Vivian Eastman, good afternoon, folks. How do my brother Ashford, the big bad giant Garley? Henry Phelps, good morning, folks. And then we have Madian Tabate is watching. Elizabeth Bowen says, hello, family. It's been a while. Dwayne G. Freeman is in the building. It's been a while, too, for her. George P. Lobo, Momo M. Sadamani. George Lobo, Grace Coreteng Gua. Philip Paswa, the giant. George P. Lobo, Grace Lawrence. He's making a roll call. And James Finley writes, hi, Letty. God bless son Robert. Just joining the show. George P. Lobo, we are the Unity Party. Nothing can move us. SG Amos TWEH, I trust your ability, my brother. Dwayne Freeman writes, hello, family. It's been a while. I am back watching from Minnesota. Smith Dowie is in the building. Siata Sangbe, she says, good evening. George P. Lobo, Erasmus T. Williams and George W. Wallace. He's making a roll call to his posse. Again, those are the trending comments. You're all welcome. Please make yourselves comfortable as the giant take you for a ride.
And that's right. Again, if you were celebrating your little day, we'd like to say congratulations. And let us sure hope that you live to see many, many more birthdays to come. As you know, birthday comes once a year. Victor Kaiser is in the building. Emmanuel Garnier is also your George P. Lobo, D1 J. Freeman, and the rest of the crew. Welcome to another decided edition of the program Ashford Garley Live on your favorite radio outlet, British Radio Africa. Mr. Michael Bobby Bold is in the building from the ATL. Well, we have Mr. AMOS TWEH in the building tonight, but just before we bring Mr. TWEH up close, we want to know a few things about him. And at this time, we want to go back to Information Highway as Mrs. Letty Brooks Roberts introduces Mr. TWEH.
Thank you, Mr. Garley. So we have Mr. AMOS TWEH, an independent thinker, researcher, patriot, and a mid-career citizen with over 15-year experience in the public and private sectors. He has served the government of Liberia as an assistant and deputy minister for urban affairs, Ministry of Internal Affairs. He worked as a policy analyst at the Governance Commission in the Civic Education and Identity Mandate area. Comrade TWEH has also worked with LPRC in 2 managerial portfolios, managed for project planning and policy manager for compliance and policy. Earlier, Mr. TWEH served as co-founder and program director for the Youth Education Foundation Initiative. Previously, he worked as a research officer at the Liberian Senate in the office of former Senator John A. Balout. AMOS TWEH is a Unity Party faithful, a community mobilizer, a project management, development, policy, and governance practitioner. He has served the Unity Party in many capacities, such as youth coordinator for constituency number 10, covering Bartown up to 12 Farm in 2004. In 2009, he was appointed secretary for the youth secretary, a position he occupied with dedication and passion. In 2010, TWEH was overwhelmingly elected National Youth Chairman to complete the unexpired term of Francis Dopo, who traveled for studies few months after his election. As youth leader, Comrade TWEH guided the party's youth congress in the 2011 general and presidential elections that saw the re-election of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for the second successive time. Under TWEH's watch as youth leader, a 3-year program roadmap to youth development in the Unity Party was designed with focus on youth in agri and cooperatives. TWEH also steered the design of a youth congress constitution and organized many high-level policy retreats. AMOS TWEH has dedicated his entire life to the service of Unity Party. He was dismissed in 2014 from government because he had backed the Unity Party's decision not to support any candidate in the Montserrat senatorial election. TWEH has removed his job was removed from his job at the LPRC by the CDC government for encouraging Unity Party partisans to participate in party meetings for the purpose of democratically removing the CDC government. In 2016, he was a consensus candidate for the National Secretary General position, but was asked by JNB and other party leaders to resign his ambition to accommodate Eugene Nangbe, who was favored by the former standard bearer, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. In District 15, being one of the favorite aspirants for representative, Mr. AMOS TWEH was again asked by the Unity Party to step aside for ALP candidate Talia Uri in order to facilitate a broader cooperation and trust within the CPP. TWEH's desire is to see a viable Unity Party led by patriots with strong determination to ensure socioeconomic and political protection for all citizens of Liberia. This is why he has not wavered to make decisions that best serve the collective interest of the people and institution to the peril of his family and personal happiness. AMOS TWEH was born onto Samson B. TWEH and Helena Brown. He schooled and was raised in Montserrat County. He obtained a Bachelor's of Arts from the African Methodist Episcopal University and a Master's of Science in Planning and Project Management from Birmingham City University in the UK. He also obtained postgraduate certificate in financial management from Duke University, USA, and a certificate in renewable rural energy from Nanchang College of Foreign Studies at the People's Republic of China. Mr. AMOS TWEH. Back to you, Mr. Garley.
O di que se long kia person de arrière.
Ça se voit, ça se voit.
And we got something breaking from the ANC, huh? Ambassador Salonte has left the ANC. I'm told he's headed to the CDC. He wants to be senator for Bon County, but he feels he's not getting the support from the ANC. So he's parting ways with the ANC. From UP, the ANC, and now the CDC. Ambassador Solente. Oh, man. Jacques Duferreau. And folks, share the video, invite a few friends. This is what the Frenchman calls zouk. Venez zouker, venez danser. And just in case, to some of those who are not Facebook fanatic, we are simultaneously broadcasting via YouTube as well. So when you go to YouTube now, you will see the program live as well. We're also on www.bridgeradioafrica.com. Okay, just like that, we are here tonight, folks. I'm telling you, brace yourselves, grab something to drink, and get the popcorn rolling. And as always, make yourselves feel home. Please join me as we bring up close Mr. AMOS TWEH. Mr. TWEH, hello and welcome to Bridge Radio Africa.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Garley. And let me say thanks to your team for organizing such a very wonderful program that allows Liberians to come on the platform, share their views about development in the country, the views about global development and different issues across the community. Thank you very kindly, and I look forward to having a very wonderful dialogue with you, wonderful dialogue with our Liberians across the diaspora. Thank you. God bless you.
Okay, I will give you another minute to give us the opening statement. Perhaps you want to say hi to your partisans based in the diaspora. They are geared up tonight, and they want to hear from you.
Yeah, sure, exactly. I just want to use this occasion to say hello, hi, wherever you find yourself. It is in the morning, accept my morning greetings. If it is in the afternoon, kindly accept my afternoon greetings to our partisans, our supporters, our entire support networks across the global community, and those of our partisans in the Republic of Liberia who have taken up the time to listen to this podcast. I want to also say thank you. I'm happy to be on this platform to share my views, my vision about the Unity Party, and why do I want to be National Secretary General, to form a part of a cream of youthful leaders, to be able to steer the affairs of the UP, position the Unity Party very well amongst collaborating political constituent parties within the collaboration. And as a matter of fact, to position the party in ways where it can be able to make a very solid case to the people of Liberia in subsequent elections. So I want to say thank you. And thanks to the lady over there. I listened to her very well, who read my profile. She was very articulate. I'm happy. I look forward to listening to your opinions and views about some of the visions of regarding the growth of the Unity Party that we are obviously going to be sharing with you.
Okay. Well, Mr. TWEH, you were selected a UP national chair to fill in the term vacancy left by Francis Dopo. On two separate occasions, you were asked to step aside, first for Eugene Nanwe and then later for Taylor Ure. It is said that your leadership was a disaster. Do you care to comment?
Well, first off, let me use this occasion to, as a tradition demands, on behalf of the Unity Party, to extend to the government of Liberia our very deepest sympathies to the families of Madam Honorable Nyomblo, Mona Nyomblo, a very good friend of ours, to the partisans of the CDC, and also to the families of Honorable J. Nangwe Slaw. On their passing is a disaster and is a vacuum that they have created in the Republic of Liberia. We are very saddened by their passing. We can only say to the families, take heart. We can say to the CDC, take heart. And of course, the country, the government of Liberia is bereaved. So we extend on behalf of the UP our very deepest sympathy. On the other note, it's also important to indicate here that the UP lost two of its youngest, very, very viable individuals. Our district coordinator and the president of Alex Flomo just passed off about a week ago. And about a few days ago, one of our officials of the Montserrat County Youth Congress also passed off. So we want to use this occasion to extend our sympathy to them, to continue to call on the parents to take heart. Of course, it is God. The Bible says there's time for everything in the book of Ecclesiastes. So we cannot question God. As a party, we will take, we will remain strong, and our prayers and thoughts are with the bereaved family. On your question about my leadership as National Youth Leader being a disaster, is rather really seriously unfortunate. And I would want to use this occasion to dismiss that. When I got elected as National Youth Leader of the UP, at that time, the party was in preparation for the 2011 general and presidential election. My responsibility as National Youth Leader was to ensure a very effective and efficient coordination amongst the young people of the Unity Party, but not just that, but also be able to articulate the policies and programs and the vision of Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, who was then the Unity Party's standard bearer. We did that very effectively. We traversed the 15 political subdivisions of the Republic of Liberia. We saw Mrs. Sirleaf. We indicated to the people of Liberia her determination to be able to build on the achievement, the successes that were already scored from 2006 up to 2010. We did that very effectively. We went across the 15 political subdivisions of Liberia. And so under our leadership as National Youth Leader of the UP, and with the cooperation and participation of a number of Liberians, including hierarchies of the UP, we managed to make a very solid case, and the Unity Party emerged victorious. That is indicative of the quality of leadership and effectiveness that we brought to bear in the leadership of the Unity Party Youth Congress. In addition to that, when I got elected, at that time, the UP had just merged with two additional political parties, the Liberal Unification Party and the Liberal Action Parties. Both parties, including the Unity Party, have a struggle history in the Republic of Liberia. The three parties were established during the repressive administration of course, Samuel Kayando. All of us know the story. And so we established a grand coalition as far back as 1985. So as the three parties having almost similar political ideologies and founding principles and philosophy, we thought it was very important for us to be able to come together as part of our collective responsibility to consolidate democracy and strengthen the nation's political system. So we came together. When we came together, it was part of my responsibility as National Youth Leader to make sure that we gave assurance and hope to the young people from the LUP, Liberal Unification Party and the Liberal Action Party, for us to consider the merger process that was already consummated to be something that was in the supreme interest of the young people and the Liberian people generally. So we're able to cooperate and work with young people across the three political parties that had already merged into the UP. We did that very effectively. In addition to that, the Constitution of the Unity Party mandates that the UP Youth Congress must be able to devise or design its own strategy, not just strategy, but its own bylaws and constitution. Of course, not outside of the ambit of the Constitution of the UP. I led that process as a National Youth Leader, as part of my responsibility. In addition to that, we instituted measures that led to young people understanding the philosophy and value system of the Unity Party, which for the most part contributed to some considerable extent to the cohesiveness of young people between 2010 up to the election of 2011, and of course, obviously beyond 2011. Of course, when you win election as a governing party, you win election not just for your party, you win election in the interest of the people who you went around to be able to sell your vision and manifesto. So as a party, our responsibility first of all was to ensure that we advocate for qualified and competent young people in the UP, not just for job, but for educational opportunity. Because we felt at the time that, and we still strongly believe that education, as is widely indicated, is the key to success. So our first point of call was to establish for us a roadmap, what we refer to a roadmap to youth development. We designed a 3 years roadmap, and that roadmap was to basically ensure that we create empowerment opportunity for young people, to ensure we establish different kinds of cooperatives, whilst at the same time advocating for job opportunity. But job opportunity was really not our basic focus. What was our basic focus was to create the condition that will make young people to be self-sufficient. That is educational opportunity, establishing businesses for themselves, putting them into different cooperatives. And it was a Herculean task dealing with young people from different backgrounds. So to be able to answer your question very succinctly, Mr. Garley, we did extremely well to bring together young people. I know a number of them are on the platform. They can obviously attest to that, to the point where we work to support the Unity Party administration of Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf. And for the most part, my responsibility was to always ensure that we advocate for the young people. But another task of mine as youth leader was to make sure that we serve as, as auditor for those who were responsible to provide leadership for the superstructure of the state, that is all the different public sector institutions. What were they doing? Were they working in the supreme interest of Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf and the Unity Party? Were they working to implement the vision of the Unity Party? And we realized at some point in time that some of the ministers, some of the heads of public sector agencies were to some considerable extent deviating from the original policies and programs of the UP. Our responsibility was to call them to task, was to call them to order, was to ensure that we remind Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf of her vision, of what she promised the people of Liberia versus what the ministers who were charged with the responsibility to implement the vision of Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf and the Unity Party were doing. So that was part of our task, to serve as a task force, to be able to continue to consistently scrutinize and examine the workings and operations of the different public sector institutions to the effect that it would have created the enabling environment for the implementation of the Unity Party overarching vision. So we did well. We did extremely well. We did extremely well.
Okay, folks, if you're just joining us, tonight we have with us Mr. AMOS TWEH. He wants to be the SGA of the Unity Party. Now, Mr. TWEH, you claim you were dismissed from the government because you backed the Unity Party decision not to support a candidate in Montserrat County during the 2014 senatorial election. Unity Party is a political party. The political leader of the Unity Party was former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Now, Mr. TWEH, it is alleged that you sided with former Chairman Wilmer Pay against your political leader, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Yes or no? Your explanation.
Well, the question was not about siding with Chairman Wilmer Pay, but the question was upholding the value, defending the bylaws and constitution of the UP. We signed oath. We took oath to protect and uphold the value system of the Unity Party. So part of my responsibility as youth leader at the time, regardless of job, regardless of the opportunities that I had, was to ensure that we establish a platform or a condition, an environment of respectability for the UP. And so for that reason, between those years that you're making mention of, when the Unity Party took a decision, in fact, it was largely led by the young people, because we realized that, for example, the candidate that we selected to contest on the ticket of the UP betrayed us. And I want to be very candid, betrayed the Unity Party and betrayed particularly the young people, because he had emerged from the ranks of the youth, of the young people. So there was the question of who the Unity Party support. There was also the question of which one of the candidates in the race had greater respect for the UP. And so we realized that we could not find any. So as a party, we could not go crawling to any candidate for that matter, regardless of what kind of relationship you have with somebody. So the UP took a decision not to support any candidate in 2014. That decision was one that I, as youth leader of the UP, was responsible to protect, to defend, and to respect. And so we rallied the young people in the Unity Party. We enlightened their consciences. We told them that one of the fundamental reasons why they signed off to the value system, to protect the value system of the UP, was to ensure that the Unity Party is respected amongst political institutions, because we were a governing party, and as a matter of fact, leading charge on the consolidation of democracy. So anybody, regardless of where you came from, regardless what kinds of relationship you have, once you show modicum of disrespect to the UP, we needed to tell you that we were governing party. So it was not the issue of what kinds of relationship that candidate had with our standard bearer. That was not the question. So it was not the decision of the Wavomope alone. It was not the decision of AMOS TWEH alone, but it was a decision of the Unity Party. And so who were charged with the responsibility to implement the decision of the UP? Of course, as youth leader, I was charged with that responsibility. And Wavomope, as Secretary General at the time, obviously needed to provide inspiration and direction for the Unity Party. So we took that decision not to support any candidate. So as a partisan of the UP and a youth leader at the time, I inspired our base to stand by the decision of the UP. We did not support any candidate, even though it's important to stress here that I had a job. I know that I was working at the will and pleasure of the president. I was working at the whims and caprices of the president. But the truth of the matter is that before I became a minister, I was a partisan of the UP. And I signed oath to protect and defend the constitution of the UP, to ensure that the Unity Party is respected from time to time. So there was not a question of AMOS TWEH choosing between his job versus standing by the Unity Party. Of course, we had to stand by the UP because I believe the Unity Party is first and the Unity Party is last in our lives as young people. That was the reason why we took that decision. And every decisions that you take, especially a political decision as such, of course, has some consequences. And one of the consequences was my removal from government. It's important to stress here that I was removed from government, and I was very proud of the fact that I was removed from government not because I stole, not because I corrupted, not because I deviated from the policies and program of Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf or the Unity Party, but I was removed from government simply because, of course, I had backed the decision of the Unity Party. That was an absolute demonstration of loyalty, demonstration of commitment, demonstration of respect for the UP. So my issue was never about job. It was never about opportunity. But my issue was the fact that the Unity Party needed to be respected. That was the reason why we took that decision. And it's important for me to elaborate further that when we took that decision, and we lived by it, we got removed from government. There were too many individuals at that time moving. The movement for economic empowerment of males Jews was just established. At that time, ALP was just coming into the limelight, I think, including ANC and so on. These parties that are in collaboration with us today were all just being established. And you guess what? Males June specifically invited me on a couple of occasions. At that time, there were all kinds of loans flying all over the place. You understand? We were called and we were offered loans just for the singular purpose of leaving my party because I had just been dismissed from government and I needed to get opportunity. So I needed to leave the party and go and join movie. And, I was offered fabulous material things, vehicles, money, and so on. But the truth of the matter is that as a committed and loyal soldier of the UP, I consider all of those things to be political vanity. So I was not induced by them, but rather I remained very committed to the cause of the Unity Party. And guess what? When I was removed from the UP, between 2015 to 2016, for a year and a half, almost a year and a half, I realized that the government of Liberia was still paying my salary into my accounts.
We're gonna get to that point.
Okay, fantastic.
We're gonna get to that point. Now, Mr. TWEH, should you become elected as Secretary General for the Unity Party, what would you do if the same situation presents itself?
I'm hoping that situation will not present itself, because I think that Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf is not going to be president for Liberia again. She's not going to be standard bearer for the UP again, and probably the opportunity that other people had for which decisions were taken against us, that opportunity will not come. Maybe it will come in a different form. But just in the unlikely event that such a situation occur, ultimately and obviously, as a loyal soldier of the UP, I will take that decision. I will proudly take such a decision in the very supreme interest of the Unity Party, to be able to send a message to the young people and to the country generally, that when you declare or formalize membership for a political party, regardless of the difficulties and constraints and challenges that the party is experiencing or faces, it is your responsibility as a partisan to be able to develop the appropriate strategy to be able to solve those kinds of challenges. So when that particular incident reoccur, we will not hesitate. We'll take the same decision that we took in 2014.
Okay, folks, that's the voice of AMOS TWEH. He's our special guest tonight on Ashford Garley Live. Let me ask you this, Mr. TWEH. Have you ever been accused, charged, indicted, jailed, and or convicted for a crime? Please explain.
No, never have I been convicted of any crime. Never have I been convicted, never have I been jailed of any crime, never have I been indicted of any crime. As a citizen, a respectable citizen, somebody who decides to live his entire life within the ambit of the laws of our country, I'm a respecter of the laws, I'm a respecter of humanity, I'm a respecter of human being, of our fellow citizens, and I believe in the fact that as we live in the ecosystem, it is our responsibility to make sure that we establish a condition that allows for our people to thrive, that allows for our people to live very well. So I do not believe in deliberately flouting laws. I do not believe in breaching any regulations and procedures for that matter. I have always been within the ambit of rules and regulation of the laws of the Republic of Liberia. So never, at no point in time, have ever been convicted of a crime for that matter.
Months after you were dismissed and you went into your bank account, you noticed that you were still being paid. Please explain.
Yeah, sure. So in 2015, specifically April 8, when that decision was taken to relieve me of my post, I could say inadvertently, it might not have been deliberate. So the government was still paying me money into my account. They were still rolling my salary for a year and a half. And so from April up to the end of 2016, I was elated of the fact that the government was still paying me salary. When I went to check in my account,
you were elected
the salary that was
elected by whom?
Of course, by my colleagues, by the bank specifically. You understand? But in fact, not just the bank. At that time, I had traveled out of the country. I had traveled, I think, to the United States of America. I spent some times there, and when I returned, of course, every time you get paid, you always receive a light on your phone. So there are a couple of messages, and just in that particular period, I think the following day, I received a call from a friend at the bank, and look, there's this account, with this amount of money. The total amount, Liberian dollar and US dollar combined, were about, I think, 43 to 44,000 United States dollar. This is a money that I did not work for, even though the government was inadvertently paying me into my account. But as a patriotic citizen of the country, as somebody who wants to continue to serve the people, I did not work for the money. The money was not mine, but rather the taxpayers' money. So my responsibility, patriotically speaking, was to just elect the government of Liberia. I could have elected to take the money, in different form and fight in my bank accounts personally. But I thought that I did not work for that money. So I went to Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf with the bank statement. And I told her, Madam President, this is the amount that your government was paying me from April 8th up to this time. And she got shocked. She was very shocked. So, she called the Ministry of Finance people to investigate, and to the reality, they informed her that the money was in my account. So because I reported that amount, the government of Liberia commissioned an audit into the accounts of former officials of government, including those who were relieved of their posts. And as a consequence of the reporting of that particular money, the government was able to, I think account for or withdraw almost about 1 million United States dollar as a result of that. So in addition to the 40,000+ that I turned over, the government conducted the investigation and uncovered that amount into the accounts of other ministers. Even though it's important to stress yet for those who are listening, that there were other ministers and officials of government who took their money, you understand, who ate their money. But we elected to report the money because it was not for us, but rather the taxpayers. So, Garley, just to answer your question, one of the reasons why we elected to do that was because, one, I did not work for it. It was not my money. It was the people of Liberia's money. Even though the Ministry of Finance inadvertently paid me, my charge as a patriotic citizen, as a loyal partisan of the UP, was to turn that money back to the people of Liberia through the government of Liberia. And we did that. And thankfully, as a result of that reporting, it's good for me to re-emphasize that the government of Liberia was able to uncover almost 1 million+ into the accounts of other officials of government. So that was what we did as patriotic citizens. And the records are there. I think when you check on the internet, when you check on the website of the Ministry of State, you will realize that in 2016 or thereabout, the government of Liberia through the Ministry of State commended us, or me specifically, for being so patriotic to have reported that money. So that was what we did. And let me also inform you, it's good to let you know here that
was it the right thing to do to go to the president instead of going to the appropriate authority like the finance ministry?
Well, the thing is that I was appointed by the president. Many people have always asked me that question. I was appointed by the president. I was working at the whims and caprices of the president, not the Ministry of Finance. So it was important for me to have reported that to her as the head of state. I was not necessarily reporting the Ministry of Finance people, but there were many reasons why I did that report. One, to demonstrate to the president that the Unity Party that she came from, the Unity Party has truly committed partisans, loyal and dedicated patriotic Liberians, and that they were ready to work with her, to work with any leader for that matter, to be able to ensure economic growth and ultimate smiles on a sustained basis on the faces of the people of Liberia. The second thing was to demonstrate to the president that the confidence she reposed in me to have appointed me at that level, I needed to ensure that that confidence is maintained, and to demonstrate to her that they are truly committed, loyal, patriotic, and individuals with the necessary integrity in the Republic of Liberia. Even though there is the widely spread notion that public officials in Liberia, many of them, they are corrupt, they are this, they are that. But it was important for us to be able to set ourselves apart because I had gotten that training from the Unity Party. Let me stress that here. I had gotten that training of discipline and integrity from the Unity Party.
Mr. TWEH, isn't it true that you only decided to elect the president because you had a tip from the inside? You had some inside workings from your colleagues at the finance ministry. Is one of the reasons why you decided to go to the president? Why don't you think that criticism is valid?
No, but that's not even criticism. It's untrue. It was me who reported to the president. It was the president who informed the Ministry of Finance. And as a result of informing the Ministry of Finance, the government took a decision. The government took a deliberate decision or a policy decision to commission an audit into the accounts of former officials of government. Now, mind you, it's important to stress here that if anybody from the Ministry of Finance ever knew that such money was in my account, they would have gone ahead and even retrieved it there so that I wouldn't know about it, or into the accounts of other officials of government. But because they inadvertently, of course, this is not to publicly indicate that there were incompetent people at the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance has some very great and competent individuals, but that thing was done inadvertently. So I needed to ensure that I report to the highest office of the land so that the highest office can take a high-level policy decisions that will serve the interests of the people of Liberia. For example, if I had just gone to report that money to any maybe director or so on, what would have been the ultimate result? Maybe they were never going to commission any audit into the accounts of former officials of government. It's important to stress that. So that was the deliberate decision I took. Nobody will tell you here that, and as I was indicating to you, when I took that decision, I had just credited from the bank. I think I credited about 10,000 from the bank. I credited that money in 2014, and I was paying off on that credit. And the reason I credited that money was to purchase land and to begin constructing my house. You understand? So if AMOS TWEH was that unpatriotic enough, or was a corrupt human being, I would have just gone and said, look, let me just take this money from here and pay the bank. And at the end of the day, I would take the other one and put it into my account. But I did not do that. I never did that. Because my cautions, as I got the training from the Unity Party, did not serve me well. I would never have taken something that does not belong to me. Our leader, Joseph Boakai, always have indicated to us that as a leader, it's good for you to be able to distinguish between public resources and private resources. What belongs to the public and what belongs to private, to you as an individual. So I felt at the time, as a patriotic and very genuine citizen, that money was not mine, that it was my fundamental and patriotic duty and responsibility to report that money to the highest up, to the government of Liberia. And that was what obviously we did. All the other issues, they're just propaganda. They could be propaganda, okay? But this is the truth, but nothing else but the truth. And as a result of that, when you go on the internet today, on the website of the Ministry of State, you will see that particular press release. You understand? You see that particular press release. So that was exactly what actually happened.
Mr. TWEH, there are some in the Unity Party who believe you are not yet matured for prime-time party politics, especially not at the level of a Secretary General. Do you care to comment on that?
I think the first question we need to clear off is, what is the responsibility and task of a National Secretary General? The responsibility and task of a National Secretary General is Herculean. I'm aware of that, especially in a political party that is in opposition. So part of my task as a National Secretary General is to ensure a complete viability of the National Secretariat, because the National Secretariat is the fulcrum, is the pillar on which the UP or any political party becomes very viable. So what do we need to do as Secretary General? Or what are my vision as Secretary General? Then maybe this one will be able to respond to whatever question somebody is asking about my maturity and immaturity. And I will deal with that another time. First off, you got to be able to clearly assess, do a baseline study of what the challenges are in the UP. What is creating the condition for the reason why a political party is the way it is, whether the reason why it got defeated, the reason why it is not growing, the reason why it is not getting the necessary attraction. When you have done those kinds of baseline study, it is your fundamental responsibility as National Secretary General to devise a strategy that will be approved, of course, by the National Executive Committee. And some of the strategy could include one, you got to ensure that there is effective line of communication between and amongst or across the various party structures. This is one of the fundamental reasons why political parties do not actually grow, because it's difficult for you to always experience a very free and effective flow of communication among party leaders, among the different party structures, and to be able to ensure that you can properly provide leadership that leads to the articulation of the policies and program of the party, of the Unity Party, or of any political party for that matter. So this is the strength that we have come with, given my level of understanding of the politics of the UP, the philosophy of the Unity Party, the founding principle of the Unity Party. And as the lady read my CV, my profile, I started off in the UP as a district coordinator, district youth coordinator, as far back as 2004. And of course, I became Secretary General for the Youth Secretariat of the UP in 2010. And on the basis of that, I serve as National Youth Leader of the Unity Party. For you to be able to excel into a position of National Youth Leader means you have understood very clearly the vision, the philosophy, the value system of the Unity Party, and that you are very capable enough to be able to properly articulate the policies and programs of the UP. It was on the basis of that in 2016, I know you asked that question earlier on, that in 2016 at our convention, the Unity Party made me a consensus candidate for the National Secretary General position, because the party felt that I was well positioned, given my understanding of not just the complexity of challenges that the party was going to be faced with, or the governance or political system of the country, but for the most part, because of my youthfulness and energetic spirit and contagious, I must add, contagious spirit as well, the party thought it was very necessary for me to serve in that particular capacity so that I will be able to help to make the party very vibrant in preparation for the 2017 general and presidential election. But because, like the Lily read earlier on, because the UP wanted a kind of broad-based cooperation between the incoming leadership led by Joseph Jamabuakai and the outgoing leadership by Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, and of course, as a matter of fact, because there were other individuals who needed to occupy position to the effect that there would have been a balance between the outgoing leadership and the incoming leadership. So the leadership of the Unity Party, the elders, including Ambassador Joseph Jamabuaka, our father, requested that, look, AMOS TWEH, you are young, you and Wilmon Pay. So we have analysis. Even though you're qualified, you're very well positioned to become Secretary General, but because we want a broad-based cooperation and we want, the outgoing leadership to be a bit satisfied, you understand, to be able to work with the incoming leadership, we want you to resign your ambition. If I had insisted, I would have become Secretary General. But the question then is, was I going to demonstrate, that I was so desperate for the position of Secretary General? Or I needed to demonstrate that even though I wanted to serve the position of Secretary General, but my service was not out of desperation, and that I needed to listen to the wisdom of the elders, which is obviously what I did. And so as a result of taking that particular decision, we garner additional respect amongst the leaders of the Unity Party. So that was obviously what we did. So anybody who tells you here that AMOS TWEH is immature, I can definitely say to you that amongst those who are contesting to become National Secretary General, AMOS TWEH has paid the highest due in the Unity Party. And when I say due, I'm not talking about paying money. I'm not talking about money due. I'm talking about the kinds of contribution that have created the enabling environment that make the Unity Party to be much more viable. I have been able to ensure, to demonstrate to the young people of the Unity Party that as a credible and patriotic librarian, it is not just about the job. It's not just about occupying the job, but it's also about showing to the partisans of our party that even though I have the capability, but at the same time, we can listen to the wisdom of our elders and that we are respecters of our elders. So on the basis of that, I was able to draw a very clear line between respecting the wisdom of the elders and demonstrating desperation for Secretary General position. That was the reason why we resigned our ambition. So nobody in this race for the Secretary General position who will definitely tell you that they are qualified more than AMOS TWEH, that they understand the politics of the Unity Party more than AMOS TWEH, that they understand the political architecture of the country more than AMOS TWEH, that they are much more viable and they are ready to be able to ensure that they provide quality of leadership that will make the Unity Party very viable and responsive to the shared needs of the masses of the people of Liberia more than AMOS TWEH. So this is the background. And this is the kinds of strength that I have come with. I draw strength from the young people. I draw strength from the middle-aged people. And at the same time, I draw strength from the older community, the older generation in the Unity Party, because of the kinds of respect I have been able to demonstrate to them. This is obviously the reason why you realize that when you do a very snap survey in the UP, many of the people in the older generation will tell you that AMOS TWEH is very much suitably positioned to be able to occupy the position of Secretary General because he has been able to pay his due. He has been able to demonstrate commitment.
Mr. TWEH,
he has been able to demonstrate loyalty to the UP.
Mr. TWEH, you talk about paying dues. You talk about the length of time you've been with the Unity Party. You also talk about the sacrifices in allowing Wimape, Eugene Amwe, and of course Taylor Urich. Do you feel some sense of entitlement? Is that why you were coming up with this? That it is not time that you take up the SG job?
No. I do not feel any sense of entitlement. If I feel any sense of entitlement, I would have felt that sense of entitlement ever since when I wanted to be Secretary General, for example. When I wanted to be representative of electoral district number 15, where I grew up and went to school, where I'm very popular. At a time when the Unity Party again asked me to resign my ambition, when I wanted to contest for the representative seat of the UP, of this district on the ticket of the Unity Party, look, I would have said to our partisan, I'm not going to resign my ambition because I feel some sense of entitlement, because I feel I've sweat and worked for it. But hey, wait a minute. Public sector job, public service, it is not about personal aggrandizement, as I have demonstrated in the past. Public service is not about benefiting oneself, an individual, but public service is about ensuring that you provide quality or dispense a kinds of leadership that benefit the generality of the people to whom you're going to provide that leadership. So this is obviously the background and the belief that I come with. I do not have any sense of entitlement. But the reason why I believe it is very fundamentally important for me to be able to march up to the plate, because I feel the UP finds itself at a very critical juncture. This critical juncture will require high-level quality leadership to be able to dispense and to work with other leaders of the UP to ensure that the UP is repositioned in ways where it is respected, and not just that, but that the Unity Party can be able to proffer a kinds of policies and programs, including vision, that meet the hopes and aspirations of the masses of the people of Liberia. I feel I am much more suitably qualified for the National Secretary General position because I've come a long way. I've come away from the ranks and file of the UP, like I indicated to you, serving in different capacities in the Unity Party from as far as 2014. No other person who wants to be Secretary General has served those different positions, has served those different capacities. So I believe that you got to be nurtured. I mean, leadership is growth process. You have to be able to excel to leadership based on your understanding of the Herculean task that you will be able you're going to face in that particular position. And so, as a matter of fact, the National Secretary General position, even though it comes with lots of complexities, but I believe because of my level of understanding and experience, I can be able to summon that kinds of experience and wisdom, working with the current leadership and hopefully the incoming leadership of the UP to make the Unity Party much more viable and very responsive to the needs of our people. So that probably will come to my vision later on. I'm not going to talk about that now.
No,
but this is obviously the reason why.
What do you say to some critics who say you come across as being very arrogant? I mean, your body language, the way you express yourself, the way you express things, as if, I need this job and I have to have it. What do you say to them?
No, Mr. Garley, I'm a humble young man. I'm a very humble young man. I'm a respecter of humanity. I'm a respecter of human being. That's why when you follow my track record in the UP, I have been able to clearly demonstrate that. The gesticulation issues, it varies based on the individuals. But I have never demonstrated any sense of arrogance to anybody for that matter. If I'm an arrogant person, I would have demonstrated that ever since. For example, when the UP partisans and the leadership of the party asked me to resign my ambition because of certain circumstances and situation at the time, I would have said no. I would have resisted. When the UP asked me to resign my ambition in District 15, I would have gone independent, as in the case of other people. Obviously, when I was asked, when I needed to be able to take decision in the interest of the UP versus, clinching onto my government position, I would have said, well, go to hell. Let the Unity Party go to hell. I will take my government position. I will respect my job more than the Unity Party. So I do not come across as an arrogant person. One of the characteristics of AMOS TWEH is I'm critical. I'm critical. I always like to ask questions. I want to know why I'm evolving into certain things. I want to know why certain decisions are taken. This is why in our own government, we were able to question some decisions that were taken by government officials. People never understood that. People consider it to be a form of honor mining or an arrogant posture exhibited by the leadership of the UP at the time. But no, it was our responsibility because it was our government. When you develop, when you fight, when you struggle to burn an administration, it is your responsibility to make sure that that government performs to the likeness of the people, of the masses of the people. So any individual who was working in the administration at the time, whose actions or inactions deviated from the policies and programs of the UP, it was our responsibility as a party to call you out in a rather polite way. Some of them were misunderstood, but I do not come across as any, God forbid, as any arrogant person. I have never been.
Let's move on. Now, Mr. TWEH, what would you say were your achievements in government as assistant minister and deputy minister?
When I took over when I became assistant minister, the government at the time had just introduced a flagship program called decentralization. Mm-hmm. And that decentralization had three different components. You had the political aspect, you had the administrative aspect, and you had the fiscal aspect. Of course, the fiscal aspect was to give the local government some level of financial autonomy. And the political aspect was to ensure that the government transfer power from the central authority, was to reduce the imperial presidency. So that is transferring power from the central authority to the local government, was to allow our people to be able to make decisions for who their local leaders were. Because as it is at the moment, superintendents and city mayors and local government officials are all appointed by the president. That is a form of imperial presidency. So the government of Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf and the UP thought that we needed to graduate from that level, where we will be able to give our people some level of autonomy. My task as assistant minister was to preside over one of the components of political decentralization. And that aspect is called rationalization of local government structures. So, I mean, I'm sorry for the jargons. Many people might not understand the local government jargons, but the rationalization simply meant that we needed to ensure that we deal with the complexity across the local government structures to the extent where they can be very viable and self-sufficient to enable them, for example, raise resources that they will be able to utilize to the benefit of themselves, that they will be able to be very, for example, sit around the table to engage in local development planning efforts by themselves, to decide on their own vision. So my task as an assistant minister at the time was to work with the deputy minister and, of course, the leadership of the Ministry of Internal Affairs to sell the idea, to market the idea to our local government officials and to the citizens of Liberia. That, for example, it's important to stress to our people here listening that one of the counties in Liberia has 45 cities, for example, because I was in the urban affairs, and that was the task that we needed to deal with. You cannot have a county with 45 cities. Many of them, sometimes when you even enter, they are towns. Some of the cities are covered by bush. When you ask the city mayor, what are your tasks? What are your responsibilities? They will tell you, I'm just city mayor, and on the mornings I receive my salary and call people to meeting and so on. there's nothing they can show. So our task was to be able to break down some of those different cities and at the same time educate and train individuals to be able to man the different local government structures in a rather effective and efficient way. The other thing was, as part of my task, was to be able to deal with what we refer to as the overlapping of local government administrative structures. Now, overlapping of local government administrative structures, for example, let me just break it down a bit. Some of you who know Broad Street, yeah? Between Broad and Ashmore and Maclean Street, there is one township right there, okay? There's one township. So we have, or there is one chiefdom. So we have the clan chief for that particular area. The clan chief is supposed to be able to provide leadership for that particular place. But then at the same time, by the time you go across Ashmore Street, all the way down to Benson Street, you see another clan chief or chiefdom. So the chiefdoms were much more close and some of them were overlapping. So there were always confusion among local government officials. Part of our task was to make sure that we address those kinds of local, what Mrs. Ellie Johnson-Sirleaf always referred to as bloated nature of local government administrative structure. And so as part of my task was to educate our people on the benefit that will accrue to our citizens when the government implements that particular aspect on rationalization. So we lay effort, we did that. The second aspect, when I was promoted as deputy minister, the very first time in post-war history of Liberia, we developed what we refer to as Habitat 3 report. Habitat 3 report is basically a report that highlights the complexity of urban challenges that the nation is faced with, or urban development issues or challenges or complexity. So they are usually or often broken apart. There's issues around urban sprawl that got indicated earlier on. Of course, there is issue around the need to be able to make local government, particularly city administration, very effective. So we developed a report. The fundamental basis or reasoning behind the development of that report was to be able to sell the vision of urban development in the Republic of Liberia to our development partners. Because every time we sat around the table, you realize that almost all the different agencies across the public sector had something to do with urban development. You had the Ministry of Public Works, you had the Land Commission, you had Landsmans and Energy, you had the Ministry of Internal Affairs. So again, there was the issue of turf. There was the issue of overlapping of functions and responsibilities. Part of my task, getting the needed guidance from the Minister of Internal Affairs at the time, Honorable Blambo Nelson, was to be able to put together a habitat or urban development committee comprised of the different agencies of government to be able to ensure a clear delineation of tasks and responsibilities. We did that very effectively. And so, I mean, just in summary, those are the two critical flagship issues that we were able to implement on our watch as assistant and deputy minister. In addition to the fact that there was an issue around harmonization, again, it has link with rationalization. So harmonization is a little component on our rationalization. Now, across the Republic of Liberia, particularly in the rural communities, there's always the issue of land conflict. Land conflict. Land conflict is highlighted in many of the reports in the Republic of Liberia, okay? That probably it will lead to another civil conflict or something of sorts. So one of the things we intended to do in order to be able to sustainably address the issue of land conflict was to make sure that there is a full-scale demarcation or delineation of boundaries across the Republic of Liberia, across towns, across cities, across chiefdoms, across clans, etc., and etc. So we did that across key cities and key areas in the Republic of Liberia, even though it is an issue that is still persistently occurring in Liberia today, land conflict. So those are some of our tasks to address issues around harmonization and land conflict and issues around boundary harmonization. So we did that as a young man, a young enthusiast, a visionary who was getting inspiration from our leaders, JNB, Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, Blamo Nelson, etc. We did that very effectively.
Now,
So when you go at the Ministry of Internal Affairs,
have there been any
records are there.
Mr. TWEH, have there been any audits set up within these local governments?
Is it what?
Have there been any audit set up within these local governments?
Any audit?
Yes, set up within the local governments when you served as assistant.
Well, I don't know what you say when you say audit. You mean you're talking about financial and administrative and operational logistical audit?
That's right.
If that is the context of your question, you know that the government of Liberia took a deliberate decision as part of the government's overarching goal in fighting corruption to be able to empower the GAC and to empower key anti-graft institutions of the Republic of Liberia. So I know for a fact that there was always routine or periodic or regular audits carried out in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Now, when an audit is conducted, for example, by the GAC, that audit does not necessarily have to target a particular local government structure, except in the event where there is an issue, an emergency situation that requires around financial malpractice, administrative malpractice, that makes the head of the superstructure of the state to be able to commission audit there. It happens occasionally. But the truth of the matter is that the Ministry of Internal Affairs was always audited. And the Ministry of Internal Affairs covers all the local government administrative structures. That's why when you read the fiscal budget, when they say the Ministry of Internal Affairs budget, there's always allocations across different local government units or subunits. So audits were conducted, and for the most part, we're thankful that most of the audits, especially during our administration, we were never close to financial malpractice. We were never close to anything on collusion. So because we thought it was important as young people, or for me to be able to demonstrate to the world, to the Liberian people particularly, that when young people have opportunity to serve, especially patriotic young people, they can serve in a rather diligent way to the satisfaction of the leader who did the appointment and to the satisfaction of the masses of the people of the nation. And so we did that. So we are very thankful that no audit. We never came close to anything around financial malpractice.
Okay, here comes the fun part. We need to take the conversation to the phone line. And folks, if you're just joining us, the telephone number to call if you have questions for Mr. TWEH, the number is 248-979-1718. We have Dwalu on the line from Massachusetts. Hello, Dwalu.
Hey, how you doing, Ashford? Hey, Mr. TWEH, thank you so much for coming in the studio. We appreciate it. I have a question for you, and I really appreciate you to answer my question. The first thing I want to say, Mr. TWEH, I want to thank you for doing the right thing and turning the money over back to the government, but I don't want you to hold that up as an accomplishment. This is what is expected of you as a government official. Okay, nobody should be corrupt or be stealing from the people of Liberia. And to you, how do you contrast? I want you to listen very quickly.
I hope you have a notepad there, Mr. TWEH.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Dwalu.
Okay.
Yeah,
how do you contrast? How do you contrast the opportunity and resources that were given the UP government compared to what they delivered to the Liberian people? Knowing that information, knowing what the UP government delivered to the Liberian people, giving what they were giving, why should anybody listen to you, knowing full well that if you put that in the broader perspective, the UP failed the people? Why should we even listen to you again? Thank you so much, Mr. Garley.
Thank you. We have, let's see here. We have 7044. Tell us your name.
Hey, how you doing? My name is George Wallace III. I'm my energetic incoming Secretary General, AMOS TWEH.
Welcome to the show, George.
How are you, comrade?
Thank you, bro. First of all, I would like to make a comment first. I mean, I listened to one of the questions about the energy in AMOS. AMOS is a very, very energetic young man. He's well articulated. He's one of the very loyal partisan in the Unity Party, as far as I know. And he comes with integrity to the play as well. So that's the kind of, AMOS is that person that will reach out to partisans regardless of what the situation is. That's the kind of person he is. What will you say, or how do you classify partisans of the Unity Party that are currently active in the COP? And what do you think the party position should be in regards to partisans or officials of the Unity Party that are fully officials of the COP? Not issues or institutional interest. That is number one.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, my name is Ashford Garley.
Okay, please hold on. Okay, somebody is speaking. We'll get to you. Okay? Thank you. Go ahead, George.
And my second question to you is that why do you think other candidates that are vying for the position of the SG, why do you think you are the best among the other candidates? So can you tell us a little bit more and answer the first question?
Thank you. Okay, we have 1480. Tell us your name.
Yeah, my name is Daddy Ashford.
Welcome to the show. Ask your question, please.
Yeah, I want to ask your guest, can he explain to the general public why the ANC is directing from the primary to the stimulating the counting to block political party? Let us go to a primary and put the Liberian people, or the CPB is different from the colonialism democratic change. I want you to just explain to the Liberian public why they can go to the primary. They want to use a BTS, or I don't know what they want to use, but a BTS. So they explain to the Liberian people.
Thank you.
Because we know the primary is an opportunity for
You're going in and out, sir. Are you done with your question?
yes.
Okay.
Boss.
VPS as opposed to primary. Why not? Okay, that's the question. Then we have 5983. Tell us your name.
Yeah, thank you, Luli. This is calling from Cedar Rabbit.
Welcome to the show.
It's not a question, but I just want to say short thing to. Thank you. Although we knew that the UP-led government was corrupt, but what you did as a citizen, a good patriotic citizen of Liberia, it will follow you until then. Thank you very much. These are some of the people that we need in our society to work honestly, not to take money from people that they never worked for. As a young man like you, for you to see for the some more $1,000 in your bank account to go to the president of the Republic of Liberia during that time to tell the president, hey, Madam President, I did not work for this money. This money was put in my account by this government. I don't want this money. So let me take this time to commend you, my brother. You did very, very well.
Thank you.
Some other government officials would not do that. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Dodie. Thank you, Dodie. Okay, we'll have Murphy on the line from Minnesota. Hello, Murphy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Garley. I am so. Hello.
Hold on. Murphy is speaking, so you're next. Go ahead, Murphy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I don't know Mr. TWEH, but I'm so proud of the gentleman. Mr. Garley, honestly, if anybody in the world thought that we don't have such a person in Liberia, and let me say this. These are the kind of people when it comes to election, we need people that will show what they have done to be elected than what they are doing now in teaching us different monies and say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Mr. TWEH should be a technocrat, not even a presidential appointee, so that he can have the ability to do what he wants to do. But somebody like Mr. TWEH they can just fire anytime they want because he has to give loyalty to a particular person. Look, Mr. Garley, I am proud of this gentleman. Everything else he explained, I don't know, but may God continue to bless him. Even if he doesn't win if he doesn't win the secretary generalship, but God is going to see him through that he will be a leader for all of us young people to follow tomorrow. Thank you very much, Mr. TWEH.
Thank you. We'll take 2 more questions and we'll go back to you, Mr. TWEH. 1488, tell us your name.
Okay, thank you, Ashford. This is Credit Dolly. Of course, I'm the national youth leader of UP. I hope today you'll be flexible with me a little bit because I took over from Mr. AMOS TWEH as the youth leader of UP when we won the convention in Banga 2016 with Ambassador Joseph Walker. I just thought it was important because when you apply for a job, you are requested by your employer to always send a resume, and on that resume you'll be asked to have references. So I'm just one of the references of AMOS TWEH in this particular situation. It happened that I worked with AMOS TWEH when I was even youth leader for a county, for Bond County, before ascending to the national youth leadership. So Unity Party has a tradition that is very acceptable in terms of best practices, where they grow leaders, they grow young people, they grow people, and they ensure that you have leadership capacity before you can be given the opportunity. Even if you are going for an elected position, that message will be in the corridor. People will look at what kind of capability you have, what idea. So this is about institutional knowledge. Mr. AMOS TWEH has so much institutional knowledge about the Unity Party in general. So I think we have to be giving people their flowers while they are alive, in Liberia. So this is a young man who has worked with the party. He has worked with the party from being youth leader, from being community youth leader in the party and coming to national youth leadership, and working also in government, understanding how the Liberian government works. I think he's well suited for this position. I know as a youth leadership of our party, we are consulting and we'll be coming up with a statement, but I think it would have been a disservice not talking about the conversation, not even calling on the show as a national youth, as a city national youth leader, and the chairman emeritus in studio, and not talking about the level of capability, the level of leadership he has. I think he has the energy. You asked about him being homo. He's not arrogant. He's very humble, but he's a young man. So you saw that when he's presenting, he presents with energy, with strength. And that's the kind of people we want in Unity Party in Liberia. So I just want to congratulate him for the bold step that he's taken. He has the capability. The Unity Party needs the faces of young people because the voting population of Liberia are young people. The young people need to see themselves in leadership, but based on capability. This is what distinguishes us from other political institutions, even our major competitor, the CDC. When you talk about leadership, when you talk about strength, when you talk about capability, education, Unity Party is distinguished. We come with a reservoir of knowledge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Leaders and emerging young leaders.
Thank you.
So I just want to thank him, and I'm a witness to some of those policies, the discussion he had. We were all part of this kind of conversation, and I wish him well. But yes, the leadership will come up with a press statement as to who all will be supporting the process. I want to congratulate him and thank you, TWEH.
All right. The last caller before we go back to you, Mr. TWEH, we'll have George Lobo on the line. Hello, George.
I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Garley. Let me say thanks to my dear friend and brother, AMOS TWEH in studio. Mr. Garley, thank you very much for giving the Unity Party boys a platform. And we've proven exactly what we can do. We've shown to the Liberian people that if election was held next month, and they say they want an age under 40, we have the manpower, we have the young minds, bright young men with integrity to be able to rescue that country. But it was very clear. My dear friend and brother, I just want to say thank you very much. In Liberia, where people change political party, like they change their clothes in search of their daily bread, you give up a government job. Not too many Liberians will give up deputy minister position for a political party. I think anyone who questions your integrity or your record, they need to go and check when was the last time a Liberian gave up a position for a political party. Not only that, we need to, what you did was not only commendable. I thought I was going to hear that you were rewarded for such a precedent that you set to help the government to be able to launch such a major policy to conduct an audit which they were able to retrieve over $1 million. I want to say thank you very much. I am not always the guy who gets this right, but I was very, very clear. 2 months ago, I pledged my support to AMOS TWEH and to his candidacy. And AMOS TWEH, you can rest assured that as long as I am within this party, you will be our SG, and we'll do everything it takes to get you there. I just want to say thank you, and thank you for demonstrating to all Liberians that they are young men with integrity and credibility in as much as they question our Unity Party. But I'm grateful today that you are an example of what the Unity Party is. Thank you very much, Mr. Garley. It's an honor to be here today.
Okay, the voice of George Lobo, and want to go back now to Mr. TWEH. Please hold off calling now. They'll get a few responses, then we'll get back to you, the callers. And this is also an open invitation to Mr. Mo Ali. Just so you know, the platform is open to you. You are also invited as well. Back to you, Mr. TWEH.
Thank you, Mr. Garley. And let me say thanks to our distinguished Liberians who call, especially to the current national youth leader of the UP, Comrade Meriton and our dialogue, Curtis V. Dolly, who has been doing a very exceptional work with the young people since he took over. Even whilst he's in the US, there's massive orderliness and complete effective work going on with the young people. I want to say thank you, Curtis. Thank you for always, touching base with your colleagues and for all the positive things you're doing. And thanks to George Lobo. Lobo is a very fantastic, absolutely fantastic guy who come across with a very deep knowledge, deep sense of the complexity. I love to refer to as socio-economic complexity that the people of Liberia are faced with. He has lots of inspiration and solution to some of the problems. We look forward to utilizing your skill as we take over the leadership of the UP. The first question the guy asks about how do I contrast the opportunity and resources given the UP? I mean, I thought it was a fantastic question, but then unfortunately, I didn't know that he already had a mindset that the UP failed. So how do I convince such an individual? You ask the question and then you conclude that the UP failed. In any case, I think for the purpose of this platform, because several of our people are listening to it, it is important to just remind you that when the Unity Party took over the Republic of Liberia, it was referred to as a pariah state. So nothing there. No public sector institution. The country suffered from brain drain. The country suffered from every aspect of governance. It took quality leadership on the part of Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf and Joseph Joma Boakai to be able to form a government that could work effectively to put the broken pieces together. So there were a couple of policies, development policies, economic policies that were designed from the RPRS to the PRS, of course, then to the renewal for agenda for renewal and prosperity, and then later to the agenda for transformation, and then of course to the Vision 2030. Okay, but on the overall, it's important to remind you that when Ellie Johnson Sirleaf took over, my dear brother, Liberia had a budget of just 80 million. Nothing we could do with it. It took quality leadership. When I say a budget of 80 million, that budget was not sitting anywhere because Liberia operates a cash-based budget. We spend the thing that we collect. That's what we do. So it took quality leadership to be able to graduate our budget from 80 million to almost $500 million. Okay, during the Unity Party administration was almost 600 million.
It took serious leadership. The government introduced what they call took time. That particular policy was a way of attracting, people with high quality brain to be able to come and contribute to the development agenda of the unity administration. As a consequence of the implementation of that particular policy, lots of our people came from the diaspora. They came to Liberia and they contributed immensely. Of course, there were challenges here and there. Nobody saying things were rosy. During the Unity Party administration, of course, we lobbied. Mrs. Salih and Joseph Juma Boakai, working with technicians, lobbied to be able to ensure that Liberia debt in a tune of 4.9 million was waived. It was not magic. It took real, practical, realistic, bold, and technical step, my dear brother, to be able to do that. In addition to that, when Mrs. Salif and the UP took over, school enrollment in the Republic of Liberia was just around 600,000, 500 to 600,000. So government introduced an educational policy that focused on three critical objectives. One, to increase school enrollment, to be able to ensure that we establish the necessary school infrastructure, to also be able to ensure that we train, teachers who will ensure quality educational outcome as a consequence of the trainings that the pupils will go through. So school enrollment came up from just little honor 600,000 to 2.5 million before this government, Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf and the Unity Party could exit the leadership of the country. Not just that, there were lots of school infrastructures that were developed. When you come to the Republic of Liberia, there is Fender. Go to Fender. You'll see massive university over there. They're not magical. It took quality leadership and real technical work. Not just that, in the area of health, the government of Liberia built several health infrastructures across the Republic of Liberia. In addition to building several health infrastructures, at that time, patient to doctor ratio was almost around, I think, 100 to one doctor. But at least for the most part, Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf and the Unity Party designed a policy that sought to ensure that our doctors, sufficient doctors, were trained. I'm not saying to you things were rosy in the education, but doctors were trained to the extent that we cut down the doctor to patient ratio to 15 to 1. And for the most part, in the latter stages of 2018, I think it was around 9 19 around there to 1. You understand, to 1 doctor. It's important to also stress here that the Broad Street. I don't know whether you've ever visited Liberia when Ellie Johnson Sirleaf was in the presidency. Broad Street was like the road to Bokonjile, the road to the southeastern region. Today, the Broad Street is paved. The government of Liberia lobbied with the World Bank. The first contract of money that we received from the World Bank was around 49 million. It took real high-level technical, and policy design to be able to get that resources to do that. In addition to that, there was the question of ensuring that job opportunities were provided to Liberians, graduates from different universities. The government of Liberia established the enabling environment that attracted investors in the Republic of Liberia. Under the UP administration, we can point out several investments from the Goli Valerium to the Asilometer to the PHB Billiton, a number of them in the Republic of Liberia. Since the CDC administration came to being, one person has not been lifted up the economic ladder. During the UP administration, between 2006 to 2010, we were able to lift 10% of the country's population out of poverty. The records are there. So for my brother to conclude here that the UP miserably failed, I think it's a disaster. It's a disaster. It's disappointing. But in any case, it's our responsibility to continue to remind you that during the Unity Party administration, we established a kind of governance architecture that was, for the most part, moderately responsive to the shared needs of the people of Liberia. Of course, in the areas of fighting corruption, the Unity Party administration established different kinds of anti-graft institutions, including empowering the GSC, establishing the LACC, putting into place the PPCC, putting into place the National Bureau of Concessions. All of these different instruments and public sector institutions were intended to reduce high-level official corruption in the Republic of Liberia. The UP did that, my dear brother. We're not saying everything was rosy. That is the reason why, as a result of the things that the UP was able to put into place under the very dynamic leadership of Ellen and Joseph Jomambuaka, we experienced some level of microeconomic stability in the Republic of Liberia and peace, as a matter of fact. So to conclude that we have too many resources in the billions and then we feel it's really terribly disappointing. But, you know, it's a mindset. I have no control over that. The other question about how do I classify our colleagues who are working with the COP and then at the same time with the UP, I think it's an issue that the UP is dealing with. I really don't want to make any official position on this matter because you know that there are other colleagues, of course, especially one of my competitors is a ranking member of the COP. If I make any comment here, it will be considered to be somehow prejudice. So I really don't want to go there. But in any case, I think it's important for the most part, if you decide to be a partisan, if you decide to be cat, just be cat, or you won't be rat, So jumping here and there sometimes create room for suspicions. But I hope that we will be able to deal with that another time, and the party will be able to deal with that to make sure that its full soldiers entirely concentrate on the party a center of attraction in the Republic of Liberia and much more responsive to the needs of our people. The question that our dear brother asks about why the CPP choose to, forget primary. Well, this is not actually a CPP discussion, but because I have been into some of the conversations, Garley, let me just respond to him a bit. The CPP has not rooted out the issue of primary. No, we have not done that. Primary is an integral part of the CPP processes that will lead to the selection or election of its candidates. And it's even a part of the processes that will lead to the election of candidates in 2023. So one of the things we're able to do at the moment, the selection of party candidates, there are 4 parties in the collaboration. So to be able to balance the interest, the vested interest of those parties, they are very complex. They are very Herculean. So one of the things, first thing the UP thought to do was, hey, there are 15 counties and we have about 4 parties. Well, let's be able to distribute 2 counties amongst, each of the party. So 8 counties were distributed. For example, the Unity Party is allocated Bon County and Lofa County. The ALP is allocated Grand Cape Mas County and Bapolu. The ANC is allocated Maryland County and Cape Mas. And then Liberty Party is allocated Montserrat County and Bassa and Grand Bassa County. So the remaining 7 counties, one of the mechanisms we have been able to derive in order for us to ensure orderliness in the selection of our people is to first off adapt a VPS. The VPS is actually voter perception survey. It's democratic. It's part of democratic process. So the VPS is intended to ensure to know which one of the candidates, the people who want to contest on the CPP ticket, which one of them actually popular. The VPS is going to be done transparently and fairly. The VPS is not a means to an end. It's not conclusive. When the VPS is conducted, in any event, okay, let me start. First, there is going to be consensus building. If the consensus building fails, we will hold the VPS. The VPS is one of the processes. The second thing is that there's going to be primary. The primary is the last resort to the selection or election of party candidates across CPP. So there are 3 processes we are going to adapt. First of all, we got to build consensus. So for example, Nima County, all the people who want to contest on the CPP ticket, we got to put them in one room. Can we all build consensus around, who the specific person can CPP feature on its ticket? If that process fails, we'll obviously go for, the issue of VPS to determine who is actually popular, and it will be done transparently. The second thing is primary, and primary will be done transparently. So that's where we are basically with that issue. So I just want to say thanks to Curtis for the very beautiful compliments, and thanks to my dear brother George. So I hope I have been able to answer some of the queries, some of the concerns that you have. The rest of them were comments. I want to say thank you for the commendation. Public service for us, we believe in the fact that public service should be something that will impact the people, the lives of the people. I have a philosophy that I took from my standard bearer, Joseph Jomambuaka, and my former chairman, Vani Sherman. They always told us as young people, when you have opportunity to serve, it's like going to school. So do not eat your recess before lunch. It's important. So I got that. I have edged that at the back of my mind, that when I have opportunity to serve the people, I should serve very diligently, realistically, passionately, to the effect that I will be able to leave an indelible imprint. This is the philosophy that is guiding us through our public sector career. Thank you.
Now, Mr. TWEH, you could be asked, now there could be the follow-up. You could be asked by the elders again to step aside. How do you respond?
Well, the elder themselves will not do that one day.
Why not?
Yeah, the elders will not do that. A big
Why not?
No, the elders will not do that, because the elders themselves feel that at least in this race, AMOS TWEH is most suitably qualified for the position of National Secretary General. That's why they will not do that.
In the event when you are asked, will you step aside for respect for the elders?
Again, public service is not out of desperation.
Okay.
I mean, the elders, the wisdom of the elders will always suffice. So I want to serve, but I don't want to serve out of desperation. And I'm not going to serve as a result of me being so arrogant, posturing all over the place. If they feel that it is again not my time, we will not force it. The institution speaks. We want to serve the institution. If the institution decides that AMOS, even though we told you to wait yesterday, we told you to wait day before yesterday, we want you to wait again, I do not have a problem. It's going to be a painstaking decision, but we have to take it in the interest of the UP.
Again, you told us about your tasks as assistant minister and deputy. You can call him deputy minister, right? But you did not tell us what you achieved. You did not tell us about your achievements. As assistant minister,
No, Garley, I outlined the achievements. Okay. I outlined some of the achievements. I did inform you that my office led efforts on the implementation of rationalization, a subcomponent on a political decentralization. Decentralization was a flagship program introduced by the UP administration. What we were able to do, my task first was to make sure that we inform the citizens of Liberia on the benefits that will accrue to them or to the country generally as a result of the implementation of rationalization. We were able to hold several high-level retreats and forum with chiefs, with legislators, with eminent citizens across the Republic of Liberia. We did that very successfully. And the good thing about it is that every time we came from some of those fora, we always generated a communique, you understand, or a consensus. That consensus was a form of the people telling the government of Liberia through the Ministry of Internal Affairs that, look, we agree to the implementation of this aspect of decentralization. We generated that. Okay, we generated that. The second thing is that on the question of boundary harmonization, we lay effort on harmonizing several boundaries across the Republic of Liberia. Part of our task was to work with relevant public sector institutions, especially the Land Commission, to lead effort on the development of a Land Rights Act in the Republic of Liberia. And today we can say we contributed towards that process from the Ministry of Internal Affairs angle. I'm not saying I led that effort. And I'm not boasting here that, we provided leadership. We contributed to that particular major public policy instrument. Today, Liberia composed of a land rights law. You understand? And maybe we can go into the details. Of course, that land right laws talks about dividing the different lands into 4 different categories. Okay, communal, public, private, etc. lands. And at least the people know the processes that lead to the acquisition of a land, of a swath of land in the Republic of Liberia. The process was Herculean. People needed to make their input, but at least the Ministry of Internal Affairs, during our time, we contributed to that. And thankfully, there is a law on that aspect today. Today, we can boast of the fact that the UP initiated a decentralization policy and there is a decentralization law. Even though it's important to stress here that the CDC administration undermined that particular process, because the end goal of that particular decentralization law was to make sure that the people of Liberia had the opportunities to elect their own local government officials. Superintendents were no longer going to be appointed by president, city mayors, and other heads of subnational units. But the CDC undermined that particular law. They took that particular provision from the law. So we're hoping that when the CPP come back, we can be able to revisit that law and ensure that we put in that particular act the need to elect local government officials so that they can be accountable to the citizens. This is a part of good governance, making sure that the local people, the local leaders are accountable to their people. If you do not account for the utilization of the people's resources, the people themselves will be able to, through a democratic process, remove you. That was the essence. But unfortunately, this government undermined that.
Now, Mr. TWEH, besides the re-election of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in 2011, for which many took victory laps, what else would you say was your contribution to the Unity Party?
How? Too many things that we contributed towards the UP. Mm-hmm. We helped to make the UP a center of attraction, second to none in the Republic of Liberia. As youth leader, and thankfully, the liar will tell you my witness is far off. The man who took over from me, a very respectful young man, individual, Curtis Darley, was able to tell you that we work with the party structures across the Republic of Liberia to make them much more effective and efficient. That today, when you enter Liberia, Unity Party is one of the parties that still has structures across this country. It was as a result of our contribution towards that particular process. The second thing is that we were able to demonstrate to the young people of the UP and the young people of the Republic of Liberia who are not members of the Unity Party that there are men and women in the UP with high-level integrity, and that there is a need for them to trust the Unity Party with leadership. At least we demonstrated that. We'll be able to tell you some of the things we did. The second thing is that under our leadership, we were able to make sure we develop a youth constitution as called for or as mandated by the overall constitution of the Unity Party. We did that. We developed 3 years roadmap to what we refer to as youth development. The essence of that particular program was to make sure that we take out the attention of our colleagues, the young people, from the issue of government job, but to the point where they will be able to have opportunities that will enable them to be self-sufficient or independent. That is to provide empowerment opportunities, to put them in different cooperatives, those who wanted to be in the agriculture sector, to establish businesses. At least for the most part, we work with relevant individuals in the party and public sector institutions to provide some opportunities to some young people. I'm not saying we did everything for everybody. There was still a challenge. Partisans were still crying for jobs. And we needed to ensure that we advocate for them. So I can't come here on this platform and tell you that during my administration, everything was rosy. The institution experienced lots of challenges, and the institution is still experiencing lots of challenges. But as a party, we were able to position ourselves amongst the other political institutions to the effect where the UP is respected amongst political parties in the Republic of Liberia today. And we're hoping that with that experience, we will be able to summon such experience in the National Secretariat of the UP to introduce new policies, to bring about new vision that will make the UP center of attraction. One of the things that is lacking across different political parties in the Republic of Liberia, across some political parties in the Republic of Liberia, is the issues around accountability and transparency. For example, if you are a partisan over the Garley, if you're a partisan of any political party for that matter, and you pay your due on a monthly basis, you need to be able to understand how your money is being utilized by that particular party. One of the things we intend to introduce when I have the opportunity to serve as National Secretary General of the Unity Party is to ensure high-level transparency, in the party to the effect where our people can have confidence in the party to at least contribute to the growth process of the UP. This is one of the things that is lacking. Many people in parties across the Republic of Liberia do not pay dues. Our partisans have started doing that. For example, in our colleagues in the diaspora, a number of them are paying dues. We want to make sure that that kinds of process is replicated across our party structures in the Republic of Liberia. We want to make sure, for example, in Nima County, can we encourage our partisans to raise resources among themselves to fund party programs in Nima County so that they are not largely dependent on individual or big gods, on big guns within the UP. Because the truth of the matter is that political parties in Liberia have become so increasingly individualistic. To be able to graduate from being individualistic to institutionalized parties, you have to encourage your partisans to respect the value system of the party, to put their money where their mouths are, to the point where the parties can be accountable for the resources that they are able to contribute towards party activities. This is something that we intend to bring to the Secretariat of the Unity Party.
Mr. TWEH, paying dues is something very good that we all encourage. And, I think that's a good way to keep the party afloat. Now, in another development, what do you make of the continuous attack on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf from some members of the Unity Party?
Well, some member of the Unity Party?
I didn't start it.
Well, yeah. Well, they I don't think there is any attack from members of the UP specifically or per se.
Mm-hmm.
There are members of the UP who have issues with Ellen. We know that.
Okay.
But they are not coming physically to do attack. Maybe they're passing through other channels. There are members of the UP who have fundamental problems with with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And it's important to stress here that some of them feel that as a result of having such a fundamental problem, the Unity Party should not reconcile at all with her. But the question is, if the UP takes, as the UP has taken a very bold and realistic step to reconcile its base, should we reconcile the UP in the absence of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? And if we should do that, is that a genuine reconciliation? Do we need to continue to dwell on 2017, on the events in 2017, to the extent where, as a party, we will not make any progress? There were too many, complex issues, political mismanagement that contributed to our defeat. We cannot entirely attribute those to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf alone. I want to boldly say that here. So the UP has done a very realistic post-mortem, a painstaking post-mortem, and realized that to be able to move forward, there's a need for, first off, to focus on reconciliation. And Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is an integral part of any process that has to do with reconciliation. So those who feel that Ellen is insignificant, that Ellen do not have to come back to the UP before we reconcile, I think they have it all wrong. Ambassador Bwaka has taken a bold step. The leadership of the UP has taken a bold step to reconcile the party. We cannot reconcile the party in the absence of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So those who are engaging in those kinds of attacks, we want them to desist. Because the truth of the matter is that.
So, Mr. TWEH, why don't you think Ellen Johnson Sirleaf should be discontinued, going forward with a new Unity Party leadership, or is she still relevant and much needed?
The truth of the matter is that, like I indicated to you, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is the former president of Liberia, is former standard bearer of the Unity Party. She, under her leadership, the UP was able to achieve several successes, was able to score several achievements. So she has wealth of experience that as a party we can be able to tap on. So our issue is just holding consultations. We are not heavily leaning or dependent on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to come back to presidency. Even though nobody can discount her contribution or the weight that she comes with on the table, even the other people in other political parties who do not want the UP to reconcile with Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, they will be very happy today if Ellie formalized her membership with those parties. Some of them, they will be very much happy. So our issue is that please do not misrepresent our action. We are not here to bow down to anybody. Our intention of reconciling with Mrs. Ellie Johnson Sirleaf is not to bow down to her. It's not to say Mrs. Sirleaf will tell you we cannot make it. It's not to say Mrs. Sirleaf will entirely depend on you for survival, but it's to demonstrate to the Republic of Liberia that as a political party, we are determined to not just internally reconcile, but to be able to reconcile the nation. In order for us to demonstrate our readiness to reconcile the nation, we have to make sure that we reconcile with Mrs. Sirleaf and other former leaders of the Unity Party. This is a commitment that the UP has come with. And this is obviously what we're doing. Now, recently, you witnessed Mrs. Sirleaf went to the party headquarters. That was on the invitation of the Unity Party Legislative Caucus. She had gone there to be consulted with our caucus members, with the leadership of the Unity Party on issues of development, on party matters. But then you have other people from other parties also who believe that the UP should not reconcile with Ellie at all. How can you be within different political parties and attempt to influence or decide what goes on within the Unity Party? It's absolutely disrespectful to us. We are not saying do not criticize the UP. That's not what we say. I mean, the UP and Ellie Johnson Sirleaf. That's not what the Unity Party is saying. You can criticize Ellie as much as you want to. You can point out her flaws as much as you want to. Ellie herself has indicated to the people of Liberia that she feels she factored, on several policy issues. And the UP has also admitted to the fact that we were not able to implement certain flagship programs that we introduced. So you can criticize us. You can criticize Ellie. But wait a minute. Sir, there is a difference between criticism and attempting to influence decision within another political party. So we got to be able to draw that distinction. This is obviously what the UP wants. You can criticize us, but don't determine what we do within the Unity Party, because we have been able to deeply analyze the implications of our action. Other people would say it's an attempt to bow down to Ellie. It is your business. But the truth is that the UP has taken a decision. So respect us for that, as we respect you, conducting your own internal affairs in other political parties. That's what I have to say to this.
Now, back to the standard bearer of the Unity Party, former VP Boycott. He is regarded as very loyal and humble. And on the other hand, you are regarded as arrogant and disloyal. How do you fit in with Ambassador Boycott?
Ambassador Boycott is humble and loyal, and I'm arrogant?
Arrogant and disloyal. How do you fit in with Ambassador Boycott?
No, but I mean, disloyalty is not in my place, Mr. Garley. I think as demonstrated by all the decisions that we have taken in the past, you cannot consider that to be a partisan who is disloyal. I mean, the truth of the matter is that I have demonstrated clear loyalty and respect for the party's value system, clear loyalty and commitment to the institution's philosophy, clear loyalty and commitment to the decisions that the party have taken, sometimes painstakingly too, not in my interest. Okay, so we have demonstrated that. That's loyalty and that's respect. So let's disregard about the question of being arrogant and being disloyal. On the question of Ambassador Joseph Jama Boycott loyalty and commitment and humbleness, this is one of the fundamental reasons why we believe in his leadership. We believe that Ambassador Boycott can provide credible leadership to the Republic of Liberia, or even within the CPP. And this is why we are very thankful that all the four heads of the CPP are working very effectively and cooperatively. So Ambassador Boycott is our leader. They say, show me your friend, I will tell you who you are, right? They say breasts of the same fellow flocks together. So like Ambassador Boycott, like AMOS TWEH, like other young people in the UP. So Boycott is me and I am Boycott. We are Boycott because obviously we exemplify Boycott's quality of leadership. That's the reason why we come across as humble young people, as people who are not desperate for job, who are not desperate for material things, who are not desperate for opportunities, who are not desperate for positions, but rather we just want to serve the Republic of Liberia and to make sure we provide quality leadership that potentially benefits the people of this country. There were challenges yesterday.
Now, Mr. TWEH, you have 4 of the finest sons of Liberia vying for the chairmanship of the Unity Party. Who do you support for the position of chairman of the UP and why?
I mean, this is all of them are very fine. Fantastic gentlemen that you indicated.
You have to choose someone.
Yeah. They're fantastic gentlemen. The truth is that we were able to initiate a reconciliation process with a number of them. All of them have been able to contribute one way or the other to reconciling the Unity Party. We cannot discount their efforts.
Excuse me.
At the moment,
hold on 1 minute. Letty Brooks Roberts. There's somebody on your call, Karen Kennedy. Please delete her comment, and if she does that again, you must block her. This is not a platform where you come here and use profanity. I keep trying to tell you people. Thank you. Go ahead, AMOS.
Thank you very much. So we have been consulting, and we are still holding consultations amongst leaders and partisans of the Unity Party. At least for now, I have taken a decision to lend support to Community Wise. Let me clearly say that here, because I believe that Community Wise comes with several experience, with many years of experience. He has been able to help throughout the process of reconciling the party to get us to where we are, and given his experience, his education, his readiness to provide leadership, I think we should test him, for the leadership of the UP. And the other reason why I think that Community we said, is best fit to be chairman of the Unity Party, because even yesterday, he publicly stated that he will support Joseph Jema Bwaka for the leadership of CPP. And this is something we're going to obviously hold him on. And he's going to do everything he can to make sure that Bwaka becomes the head of CPP. This is a commitment that he has made. And so given his wealth of experience, his education, and somebody who believes in institutional politics to some extent, I believe that he can make a positive chairman for the UP. Other than that, there is George Wisner, who is also another fantastic gentleman who rose through the ranks and file of student politics, national politics, and has come to where he is today. He's a very fantastic gentleman. Of course, all the other people who want to be chairman of CP of the Unity Party are very absolutely fantastic, and they have demonstrated some level of loyalty. But like you indicated, there's a need. We can't choose everybody to be chairperson. The same way you cannot, people are not going to choose everybody to be Secretary General. Somebody somewhere is going to decide and say, maybe I put my vote for AMOS TWEH. So this is the decision that we have taken, at least for now, to be able to support him. And I look forward to holding consultation, except other circumstances, change. But I believe that, things will remain the same, and we are going to work with him, hopefully. In any case, any other person who emerge as chairman of the Unity Party, we are going to fully support them. We're going to fully work with them. We're going to ensure that the decision of the Unity Party is supported by us, because it is an institutional decision, so we cannot undermine it. So in the legs of Ame, the legs of Wally Sewadona, and of course a fantastic gentleman in George Wisner, they are all very absolutely fantastic and have demonstrated clear loyalty over the period honor review. So, but it's important that we make decisions for somebody else.
Now, finally, Mr. TWEH, rate the CDC government categorically and give it a letter grade, if you may.
I do not think that the CDC government has done much. They have not been able to live up to their promise. For example, they informed the people of Liberia through, in their populist agenda that they will graduate the country's economy from being a rent-seeking economy or extractive-based economy to a value addition economy, an economy that adds value to our resources. And for the most part, that is going to lead to, or they will create the condition for indigenous economic growth, so they say. All the decisions that CDC has taken over the last 3 years, there is no semblance of a government that is ready to ensure indigenous economic growth. For example, contracts have been awarded to foreigners. Contracts have been awarded to different people who are not even Liberians. Not just that, but that the government has been able to successfully sow a seed of discourse, a seed of division in the country, to the extent that people in the ruling party do not even want to see, individuals in the opposition bloc. They consider us as enemy, as the president described us, enemy of the state. Of course, the president has undermined the laws of our country, including the Constitution. He appoints an ambassador. He does not wait for the commissioning of the confirmation of that ambassador. He commissioned the president. Of course, we can talk about the Eton and Iboma view that undermine the credibility of the state. We can also speak to the fact that the president or the government has refused on one or two occasions, at least to the best of our knowledge, to heed or to implement the mandate of the Supreme Court of Liberia. So it is an absolute disrespect to the law of our country. And these are some of the reasons why we have not been able to attain or to realize any level of investment in the country under the CDC administration. No investor, no investment, no one person has been lifted up the economic needle to the best of our knowledge. So, if I were to rate the CDC government, I would rate them very poor, very absolutely poor. The only thing they are good at is amassing wealth at the detriment of the people of Liberia. We established anti-graft institution. The president undermined it. We have been able to successfully establish as a government, as Unity Party administration, at least for the most part, to strengthen public sector institution in a rather moderate way. The government, the CDC administration came, they undermined that. They purged people out of the public sector, people who were deemed radical, who were deemed not supportive or not partisan of the UP. They purged them out of the government. So this is the reason why you realize that there is massive level of ineffectiveness, inefficiency, and unproductivity in the public space of our country. So that's what I can speak to.
Well, your partner comment, just before we take, we want to say a big thank you to you for taking up time. Finally, what do you have to say before you leave?
Well, I want to say thank you so very kindly, Mr. Garley, we just came across one another these few days. I find in you a very fantastic, gentleman with so much passion for the nation, for the development of the country, for the people of Liberia. I can only look forward to you establishing a very massive media conglomerate that will impact the landscape of our country, the journalistic landscape of our country, that will be able to, you can also want to use this occasion to recommend that. You already started doing that, but keep on doing that to train more journalists to be able to spread them across the media landscape so that they can be very professional and ethical in their reportage. In addition to that, I just want to use this occasion to thank all of those who've been able to make some comments, all of the callers who call, who were able to ask some questions, and those who are also making some comments on the platform. I think these are very hefty for our democracy. all of us as citizens, we have a fundamental responsibility to contribute to the development of our country. Some of us who find ourselves in political parties, we feel that it is our fundamental charge to be able to strengthen our governance architecture and vis-a-vis strengthen the political system so that it is responsive to the needs of the people of Liberia. We have to be able to establish a platform that allows for the participation of the people of Liberia in the administration of their own affairs. This is a charge that we have taken up to, and I really look forward to coming on these kinds of platform to be able to share our opinions on matter of statehood and to also, get some query, to get some questions. We want to be grilled. We want to be criticized. Criticize us as much as you can. It is your inalienable right. Nobody can take that away from you. It is your right to criticize. It is your right to ask the vexing questions about governance issues in the country. For far too long, Liberians have been placed way down in the shackles of poverty. It is our responsibility to be able to ensure that we develop policies that we focus on uplifting the masses of the people from the shackles of poverty up the economic ladder in a rather sustainable way. So ask your question, but at the same time, we want to encourage you. Do not just criticize. Do not just denigrate. Don't just insult because you don't like the person, because you feel that the person is not part of your team. But at least for the most part, be able to scout leaders, regardless of where they are, regardless of who they are, so that way we can all collectively contribute to the overall development of our country. We have to move away from the issue of segregation. Division in the country is hurting Liberia. Liberia is divided on a number of critical lines on on economic, social, political, regional, tribal, religious line. We have to be able to understand that these kinds of complex situations get us to where we are today. So for us to leapfrog from where we are, we have to take deliberate and affirmative decision to do that. To do that, we need to consider one another to be brothers and sisters. Stop hating your friend. Stop creating malice. Stop creating hatred because the man is in Unity Party and you are in CDC and the other man is in XYZ Party. All of us have one big party, which is the Republic of Liberia. I have always indicated to my friends that because my friend is in Party X and I'm in the other party, I'm not going to consider him my enemy. The only thing is that there is policy difference. He sees something differently, like I see it. So it is our responsibility to convince one another, but at the same time, for all of us to be able to use our energies and expertise and education to the development of the Republic of Liberia. So thank you very kindly. Thank you for inviting me, and God bless you.
Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts, your pardon coming.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. TWEH, for your time and your conversation here at Bridge Radio. Want to say thank you to our listening audience. Thank you to the participants. Thank you for your support. We ask that you also please support Bridge Radio Africa as we are a self-funded broadcaster. We also say thank you for your comments, and we ask that you please come back tomorrow as we have more entertainment for you. We have TWEH and Quincy T. Back to you, Mr. Gardy.
Thank you. And that's right. Tomorrow for entertainment, we'll have TWEH. He's going to be in our studios tomorrow to do a little bit of, I think he has some new songs that he wants to introduce as well. And we'll also have Quincy T from Liberia. So TWEH comes at 9 o'clock. Quincy T comes at 8 on Bridge Radio Africa. Then on Friday, there's a very special edition of the program Ashford Garley Live on Bridge Radio Africa. With that said, folks, please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man. Tough times don't last, tough people do. The heart of a man is never known until he rises. There's no second chance to make that first impression. Don't see okra and swallow bone because you can't hide your nakedness from beef and bucket. When God bless you, don't see that medicine. Don't see okra and swallow bone again because when white men know you, please know your friend black man. This has been yours truly, the golden voice of Liberia, the medicine of the microphone, Ashford the giant. And now you know me, Garley.
Thank you. Yeah.